Hello, everyone. This is my project for my Informatics 635 by my professor Bhaskaran, and talks more on electronic data interchange technology and health informatics and interoperability standards. So, the part one of this talks more on the UML designs which I used. Um, Pretty much, I designed the doctor's appointment management in the healthcare industry. And this actually deals with a system trying to log into a system. So it begins with this case UML design, which I used with a Visio. So we try to log into the system application. We have a lot of a special system software we can actually use. So the first process is actually logging in the system of the application of the healthcare industry. We try to, the next one deals with examining the level of the user and granting. So it all depends on the credentials that uh, the user actually have. If he has the right credentials, he has access to login. If he doesn't have the right credentials, then he can't actually log in. It goes next to the monitoring the booking and appointments. So the user has the access right now, so he or she can actually monitor the bookings, monitor the appointments that are being created for the doctor's um, schedule, and how do they do that? How do they book the appointment? They check the schedule to see which is open, and then they book appointments uh, based on the schedule. The next one deals with logging out from the application. So the user is actually done with the system, and he or she's about to log out from the application, and then he closes out the system. It logs out and closes out of the system. So that's the very first UML design that I actually worked for this. Um, the second one deals with the customer satisfaction management in the health industry. Um, for this actually deals more on managing reception, managing the patients. So the way I actually created the VCO deals with the first one is actually managing the reception. And afterwards, we investigate the suffering patient, which means the patient that is suffering, we investigate and look out and see. Um, the next one deals with examining the situation of surviving patients and creating a better relationship with the patient. So I've investigated the patient, since just observed from the diagnosis and the symptoms to see what exactly is wrong with the patient. Now I'm examining the situation to see, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. I know you're actually sick right now, but you know I'll try as much as possible to create a good relationship with that, and then I will manage the patient with a polite behavior. So regardless of how the patient is acting up to me, all I want to do is just make sure that um, I'm exhibiting a very polite behavior for the patient, so that he or she can actually feel more better around me, and then I'm done. The last one is closing. In this UML design, I can also have a situation where I can manage the supply of medicine, whereby I manage the reception by managing the supply of medicine, trying to figure out the supply of medicine, if it's available or not. And then I also manage the payment section, which means I manage the payments either through cash, or through check money orders, or through debit or credit cards, and then I close out. So this is what I did for the customer satisfaction and making sure that the customer or the patient is being satisfied regardless of the fact that he or she is really sick or down. So the third UML design deals with the interaction of the two UML designs I talked about. So this actually manages the reception and also the payments. So I had a diagram which represents each participant to solve specific tasks. So the very first one talks about event host and the customer. Yeah, the customer pays the deposit. He or she records customer satisfaction, and also reviews the first draft of application of the healthcare. I talked about the license provider, which is a doctor, and I talked more on providing permissions, as well as wrapping up the event. He also follows up with the customers and record customer satisfaction too. I talked about the event app customizer. He or she customizes the event application and the application of the healthcare designer. For that, he designs the guest book. He edits the final part of the guest book. We talked about the director. The director directs the guest book creation and also sends it to the print. I talked about the receptionist in the way that it follows up with customers and also manage the customers. Yeah. And so we're actually able to, compact these two UML designs into one and actually talk more about it in this slide. So the next slide talks more on, this actually talks more on the evidence of the HL7 and why I chose the version 3. So like I always say that I'll say the HL7, which is also known as a well-being level 7, kind of alludes to a lot of universal measures for exchange of clinical and authoritative information between programming applications, which have been utilized, of course, by social insurance suppliers. There are different benchmarks which are actually centered on the application layer. And that's why it's actually recognized as a layer 7 in the structure of the OSI framework. The HL7 includes two types. One is HL7 version 2 and the other is version 3. What are actually the benefits of the version 3? So in this slide, I talked more about informing the standard which is being utilized worldwide, which is yet to be altered because it actually meets up the changing information and also meets up the human services. I talked about it, the version 3 was made as a structure for an arrangement where it's settled upon the NSI standard will be utilized to empower free frameworks to speak with each other. In order to perform these activities, the utilization of the version 3 is very, very significant and very, very vital and important. All right, my next slide talks about the part 2 of my project, and this deals with health informatics standards. The first thing I really want to talk about is the standards. What are the standards used to empower? The health informatics standards are used to empower, improve data, and make data accessible among individuals and healthcare professionals. And I talked about the key zones that are meant to be recognized. First one was institutionalizing the substance, which deals with terminologies, the arrangements, the code frameworks, and also institutionalizing the frameworks. And this incorporates the structures and procedures. The benefits of the health informatics standards kind of invigorates customer instruction regardless of patient's association in their very own medicinal services. It improves the efficiency through resisting work through a paper that is recognized as unnecessary. It rusticates checking, which is considered as unnecessary, otherwise redundant. We talked about the lines and the UMLS. The lines is more like an acronym for that actually deals and enables the customer for consolidating outcomes that are clinical from different sources into a solitary database. And it also enables the outcomes to be consequently sent to the proper spot and improving patient consideration. The benefits of the UMLS is that it handles the terms and codes utilizing the lexical tools. It orders ideas by semantic sorts from the semantic networks, and it also discharges the information in a typable arrangement. It is used to gather synonymous terms into ideas and also fuse connections and traits that are given by vocabularies. And so I actually made reference with the references, and that's about it.